Episode number 3. Another thing to do is, in fact, to learn how to say no, to communicate change to people in around our environment, or even to communicate the fact that we are changing or something is changing. Also, from my own experience, just saying kind of plain strict close off no doesn't go down very well, and we don't really feel very comfortable to say no. No, actually, I don't want to come to your birthday party. We don't really say that. It's not very easy for us to say that. Usually we make up excuse, or usually we find a way out. I guess you can hear some people say that, okay, not really being completely honest and saying no and finding excuse for it is a bit manipulative and it's not very good. It's true, but at the same time, I personally feel that as a first step to reclaiming our lives and our boundaries, find whatever way we can find out of doing things that we don't really want to do is better than doing the thing that we don't want to do. So first of all, we are stuck in a situation we are actually doing things that we don't want to do. The next step in the progress is finding way not to do things that we don't want to do. And sometimes we might not be comfortable with saying, actually, this is not what I want to do and I'm not going to do it. So it feels more gentle and comfortable first. As a first step is to, find a way not to do it. Yes, it might include some, okay, I'm ill, or I have a headache, or I just, don't feel like it, or I have other plans, and some of it might not be completely 100%, the real reason, which is I actually don't want to do it. But I still find that it feels healthier and it feels better for our well-being not to do what we want to do, even if the excuse created is not most, let's say, straightforward and honest. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for honesty, and authenticity, but the reality is sometimes it's just not possible to jump from one side where we always say yes, we're gonna do it, and even if we don't want to do it, into saying no, I'm not doing that. So sometimes we kind of need to stage out from maybe letting some people down, maybe saying no to people in kind of a gentle way. Of course, ultimately we would reach the point where we can say, actually, this is not what I chose or planned to do for the afternoon, or today actually I don't feel that's the best use of my time, therefore I'm not gonna do that. But at the beginning, we probably will need to find a way out in a less so-called creative way. After that, once people started to see that we actually sometimes say no to things and they get no from us, the expectation that we will always say yes and go with their things changes. So after that, it starts to become a little bit more easy to decline things that we don't really want to do. But it's a habit. The way I see it, it's a habit. Saying yes and going with what other people want from us is a habit. And putting what we want in the last place of our priority is also a habit. Saying no can also become a habit, or at least we can develop this habit to say no when we don't really want to say no. And it's a skill. Also, it's a skill. We usually, all of us, in any life situations, we are comfortable with the things that we do most. And also we feel most comfortable with the things that we know that we're gonna get, let's say, easiest time with. If we are scared of a conflict or opposition or being disliked or disapproved by other people, it will feel easier for us to say yes to things and to do things that we don't want to do than face potential of other people disapproving of us. Later, as we learn to say no and as we teach people around us to have different expectations of us than they had before, to expect new things from us in comparison to what they seen from us so far, it becomes easier. Even the conflicts become easier, even the oppositions become easier. From my own experience, I remember first, because I had quite a few friends, and for example, if any of my friend would, let's say, ask me to meet or to go to have a coffee or dinner or something, I would always say yes. I planned to do some drawing, paint some pictures or something, but then a friend of mine would call me and say, okay, are you free? Do you want to meet up? I would say yes. Okay, yes, I am free, because the fact that I wanted to do painting goes into back burner of my priorities, because the first thing that I need or I think that I should do is what they want from me, and only after I given everything what they want from me, I have a right to do what I want. But when you think about it logically, if I wanted to paint a picture, that was my plan, and that was my kind of like number one thing to do at that time. When I kind of said yes to what my friend suggested, I sacrificed my need or my want or my authentic way of spending my time, which I had. And like that, my friend, for example, they would expect that most of the time I will say yes if I'm free, and most of the time I would be free, because the only thing that I might be doing is either I would meet another friend if I'm free, or I would have my plans on my own, which I would always cancel if somebody else wanted something else from me. This kind of like makes our relationship with our friends also not so authentic, but they don't, and we might even start at some point become a little bit in a bad mood when we meet our friends. It happened to me. So for example, I would meet my friends and I would be a bit like cranky and irritable, and at the same time I wouldn't even understand why. I would, for example, let's say I cancelled my plan and I went to see my friend, and then we try to go to a restaurant, and I don't like the restaurant number 1, I don't like restaurant number 2, we go to restaurant number 3, there is something in there which I'm not satisfied, I'm a bit moody, I'm a bit irritable. Later, after exploration of what does sacrificing our own needs and wants does to us, I discovered that this self-sacrificing behavior sends the message for me that I am less important than what my friend wants from me. My needs are less important than my friends. At the point when I cancelled my plan, my priority was not to see my friend. My priority was actually to do what I wanted to do. And I feel like I forced myself to do something which I didn't want to do. We can see that in children best. Imagine if we taken a child to a place they didn't want to go. They're going to be cranky. They're not going to really enjoy it, or at least at the beginning. They're going to be moody. So the same happens with ourselves. It's just that we are not really that self-aware at that point. And I guess final thing to start doing and have in our lives once we started to implement this change about us in our immediate environment is to stick with it. Like with everything, like with the diet, with the exercise routine, with, let's say, starting to learn new language, it's rare that we just have absolutely perfect track record without ever skipping a class or having extra meal, or just not doing it, or falling into a bit of procrastination, laziness. It's unlikely that this is not going to happen with this too. So once we decided to make change in our immediate environment, it could be that we might sometimes want, or even we might do, get back into our old behaviors. But important thing is not really to stay in there too long. The best thing to do, of course, it would be as consistent as possible, because let's say if we decide that we want to make some change, we communicate that to people around us, and then they accept that. But after that we kind of cancel it, or we say, actually no, I don't want to do it. Then they don't really take that seriously. They might be like, okay, maybe she wants to do it, maybe she doesn't want to do it, I'm not sure, something is happening with us. Best is to stay as consistent as possible with whatever the change we want to make. However, it might be that we won't be able to do that 100% ever since we decided. At least I wasn't able to. I'll give you an example. I'm going to say no to all social activities on my weekends for from this month up until I feel like I have enough rest. And then there is a friend, let's say, which I haven't seen for a long time, and then even though I'm tired, I said, okay, yes, I'm gonna go and see you. Part of us might feel like we are doing self-betrayal by not sticking what we said we are going to do. I would say use the measure of self-compassion and what is the best option at that point in time to us emotionally. I kind of like to use 2 assessments almost for everything in my life. One is theory of least regret. It's actually something from accounting, believe it or not. And another one, theory of least stress. So how do we use to make a decision what is better for us at that point in time? If we use theory of least regrets, is fast forward in the future, what is the thing that I regret more? If there is a friend which I haven't seen for a few months and I don't see her, I will feel bad because I actually wanted to see her, even though I wanted to rest. Or if I'm actually now gonna go and see this friend, I actually feel like I completely break my word for myself and my commitment towards myself and my commitment to my well-being, and actually this is going to be something that I regret more. And then based on that we make decision. Or the theory of least stress is this. Let's say if I don't go and see my friend, am I gonna stay at home and feel super stressed about it? That okay, now my friend is gonna actually think that I don't really wanna have this friendship with her anymore, or she's not important to me anymore, or we're not really that good friends anymore. Or if I'm gonna go to see her, I'm gonna be actually moody, irritable, really tired, and not very well. So which option will give me less stress? Another thing is finding a third option. If there is something that I want for myself, and there is something that somebody wants from me, friend wants me to come to see her in a town center. I do want to see my friend, but I also feel tired. So I actually, my problem is not seeing the friend, but the traveling to the town center. So maybe I can invite my friend to my house. And like this, I get to do both. I get to see my friend and I get to stay in an environment without spending too much energy and feeling relaxed. If that option and decision is good also for my friend, this is something that we can do. So I am a believer of possibilities are endless, and that all of us, we are actually quite creative, even if we don't know that. And we can create solutions, even if there seem to be none. So, especially in the relationships, if relationships are important to us, we'll be able to continue to have this relationship and to have what we need and what we want in that relationship. For example, if I'm tired and I have a friend who I want to see and who wants to see me, if my friend really cares about me as well and she's not so tired, she will travel to me and she will see me and we can see each other. So for us who tend to say yes too much and who tend to just go with other people's plans and ideas, it's also a good thing to learn to how to incorporate also our ideas in their ideas, or how to combine both of our ideas to make different plans or to achieve the same objective but a bit different way, in a way that would work for them and for us. Once we know that we can do that, sticking with what we decided becomes easier, because then we have this objective which we have decided, for example, to have a rest on our weekends and not to travel too far and not to exert ourselves too much. As long as we keep that need and that want that we have for ourselves in our minds, we can incorporate that with what other people want from us. I believe that we can have this consistency. There are ways to achieve this consistency in our lives, and even if we sometimes don't do what we said we are going to do, important thing is to get back to it, to what we have decided, because sometimes there are circumstances that we don't really have that much influence over, and things happen and we just can't stick with what we decided. But important thing is to, once the situation is over, to remember what we wanted to do and what we have decided to do, and then get back to it. There is the saying, the only way to fail is to quit. So once we committed to the change, all we need to do is not to quit this commitment. And if sometimes we have some days when we have difficulty to sticking with our commitment, it's okay. We all have those days everywhere, We all have those days where we don't perform that well. We have those days where we said we're gonna go to the gym and then we didn't. We do that. So it's okay if we sometimes do that in this new way of living, as long as we remember what we wanted in the first place and what we are trying to achieve. And what we are trying to achieve is better life to ourselves, more fulfilling relationships and environment, and at the same time we want better life to other people around us, because it is much better to be with a person who is happier and more fulfilled than with a person who is feeling empty and dissatisfied. At the end of the day, we just want a better world, and we're doing it by changing our life into the way we want it to be. So, I hope this was helpful. If you relate to this and you want to share something or put some comment, please comment below. I don't usually do that, so I don't know. Below right now is below my phone, but I guess it's gonna be on the YouTube, so below. And I'll respond as much as I can. Good luck! this long explanation.